Hi everyone, it's Chloe from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a fabulous card using our beautiful Grande sunflower stamp and die set, along with our gorgeous geometric rainbow paper pad and our best wishes die as well. I really hope that you enjoy this video and you are going to enjoy crafting along with me. So today we're going to be using the Grande sunflower stamp, and we're going to be doing a little bit of colouring. So to do the colouring, I'm going to be using my Copic marker pens. So I've picked out 4 colours for this one. So I've picked out Y15, Y38, E37 and E47. And those are going to be the 4 colours that I'm going to use in today's video. So to get started, I've taken a piece of white, smooth white card, and I've trimmed that down to about 8 inches square. I'm not going to worry too much about the size at the moment because we are going to be trimming that down and making it a little bit smaller anyway. So we're going to start off by taking our gorgeous Grande sunflower stamp that I've already got stuck to my acrylic block, and I'm going to take a black VersaFine ink pad. So I'm using the original VersaFine ink. If you're using this one, you do need to be a little bit quick when you get your embossing powder on. If you want one that's slightly more slower drying, you can use the VersaFine Clair in Onyx Black, and that'll do the same job. So I'm going to start off by taking my square of white card. I am working on a scrap of paper as well, so it might be a little bit difficult for you to see this part, but I don't want to get my stamping mat inked up. I'm going to take an anti-static bag and dust that over my white card to start with, like so. So we're just going to make sure that there's no kind of inky fingerprints or anything on there. I'm going to take my stamp and I'm going to take my ink pad. Now, because this is quite a large stamp, I'm using our thin acrylic blocks with these, which are fantastic. They are so good because they allow you to get an even pressure on the stamped image. And I'm going straight in there with my VersaFine ink pad, and I'm inking up the stamp like so. Now I have a real thing about if I get ink on my acrylic block, because I'm always worried that I'm going to transfer it. So what I tend to do is just take a baby wipe and just wipe that carefully away. Okay, so then we're going to take our stamp and we're going to position the first one down onto our card. So I'm going to pop this one here and we're going to press. And you want firm, even pressure all over this stamp, like so. Okay, then we're going to lift that off, and you can see we've got that beautiful, crisp, clear image. We're then going to take our Wow Clear Gloss Superfine Embossing Powder and sprinkle that directly over the top like so. Okay, I'm going to pop that back into the jar and we're going to repeat this all over the square of card. So I'm going to heat this one up actually. So I'm going to take my heat gun, go straight in and just start heating this. So all I'm doing is I'm holding my heat gun still, and what you'll notice is the powder will go from like a dull grey to a lovely shiny glossy black when it's heated up. Okay, so there we go, that's the first one heated. We're then going to take our stamp and we're going to re-ink it using our VersaFine Onyx Black. We're going to tap all over the image, and again it is completely normal for your clear photopolymer stamps to kind of mark and stain with your, I had a little bit of glitter on mine there, with your ink pads. What happens over time is the photopolymer is going to absorb some of the ink. So what can happen is it just stains your stamp a little bit. It doesn't affect the functionality of the stamp at all. It'll still work perfectly fine for you. So I'm going to stamp that one down. I'm going to do a couple this time. We might as well try and get the powder on 2 or 3 at once. So you can see how I'm kind of just lining up the petals, just trying to get the stamps quite close so that they're almost kind of not overlapping and not quite touching. There's a little bit of a gap between them. So I'm going to do exactly the same in this bottom corner down here. Don't think I've got enough ink on the tip there, so just re-ink that bit. And we're just going to go in, hover and press. So again, getting that firm even pressure all over the stamp. Always keeping one hand on the block as well. And then I'm going to take my clear embossing powder and sprinkle that over. I personally, even when I'm colouring in, I always like to emboss my images. I just think it gives you a lovely little raised line to kind of work up to, and it just makes it a little bit easier. So again, I'm just holding that heat gun still, and as soon as I see that powder start to melt and change, I'm just moving the heat gun over the image like so. I think it's always magical when you watch embossing powders, when they start to melt and change. It's just so, so pretty. So just working around, heating up those sunflowers. I'm going to do another one in this top corner up here. So I'm going to take my ink pad in again. I'm going to re-ink my stamp. I'm going to just remove the ink from around the edges, and then we are going to stamp this one in here like so. So again, firm even pressure all over the stamp. I do find it easier as well with some of the larger stamps to, if I stand up while I'm stamping with them. I have just overlapped that one ever so slightly, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. Okay, so we're going to continue on, and we're going to heat this one up. Okay, and then we're going to just start and take just some of the petals and pull them in from the edge. So again, I'm going to take my stamp, I'm going to re-ink it, using my VersaFine Onyx black ink pad. Move that ink from my block, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to stamp a few petals here. So I'm going to do a couple. As well, you don't need to worry about re-inking your full stamp when you do this part, because we just want like the little petals coming in from the edge. So you can just ink like a proportion of your stamp. So as I'm just working round, like so, and I'm going to put a couple just in here. And there we go. And then we are going to do a little bit of trimming down on this as well. So I'm going to take my clear gloss embossing powder again. I'm going to sprinkle that over the top, like so. There we go. And then we're going to pop the remainder straight back into the jar. Okay. And then I'm going to take my heat gun. I'm going to hold my heat gun still. And then as soon as I see that embossing powder start to melt and change, I'm just moving my heat gun over the image. Like so. So that then creates our gorgeous sunflower background. So what we're going to start and do now is we're going to go in with some pens and start to colour in. So I'm going to take my palest yellow first. And I'm using my Copic markers. So they've got a chisel tip and a brush tip. And I'm literally just going to lay down some colour on the petals. You'll notice that I'm not kind of too fussy when I'm colouring in or anything like that. I'm just kind of getting stuck in there and laying the colour down. Like so. So you're just going to work round and colour in all of your sunflowers. Now I'm using my Copic markers, but of course if you've got any marker pens at home you could be using those. If you prefer to use watercolours for your projects you could be using those too. Any kind of paint, anything like that. Just any medium that you really enjoy colouring in with. And I think this is what is so beautiful about this stamp, because it's a really nice large image, so it's perfect for getting in there with your pens and colouring in. And I love yellow. I think it's such a lovely bright sunny colour. It's just fabulous for kind of adding a little bit of colour, isn't it? And it's such like a sunshiny kind of shade. So I'm going to do this on all of the petals. So I'm just working round, colouring these in, and you can see I kind of do like a little kind of flicking motion with my brush pen when I colour. Literally all we're worried about is getting the colour down on the paper at the moment. So I'm not worried about shading, I'm not worried about anything like that. I literally just want to get some colour laid down onto these beautiful sunflowers. So just going to keep working round. Adding this colour in. And I don't know about anyone else, but I find colouring really, really relaxing and therapeutic when I do this at home. I just think it's a really nice way to kind of just unwind and relax. So here we go, we're just going to keep on going, laying this colour down. Onto all of these beautiful flowers. Okay, and then we are going to start and go in with a bit of shading, and of course a little bit of glitter and sparkle as well too, which is why I'm not too worried about being too precise in my colouring of these. I'm just really kind of laying down that colour and just laying down that ink onto the design. Do exactly the same with this one here, and where I'm going to point out my little mistakes now, where I've got a couple of little inky fingerprints in the background, I'm going to show you how to disguise those too. So I'm not going to stress about those, as we're having a nice chilled crafting environment in here. So we're going to just continue on colouring these in. Again, I'm trying to stay within the lines. I think because you've kind of got that lovely little embossed ridge around the edge that you can kind of very much work up to, it makes the colouring so much easier. I was thinking about kind of pre-prepping one of these and having it just coloured, but I know that lots of you enjoy making the cards along with me at home, so I thought I'll do this one in real time just to be able to show you how this all comes together. So again, just by adding that beautiful little bit of colour under here. You can see how quickly and easily that started to come together. So I'm going to go in with my honey colour now, which is Y38. I'm going to take the brush tip end and literally I'm just going to like kind of flick a little bit of colour up the petals like so. So I'm just kind of following the lines, really basically just adding a little bit of colour into there so you can see what a difference that then makes. I'm going to continue on. I'm not going to bother too much on that petal there because there's not really much to add. But I'm just kind of flicking the colour in there. Now if you wanted to, you could go back in and you could blend this colour in just by shading back over the top with your yellow marker pen. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it because we're going to add a little bit of glitter on the top. And I actually think by leaving the ink unblended, it gives a bit of a better effect because you get a little bit more texture in there. So I'm just adding that colour. Like so. Okay, so then you can see how beautiful that then looks. I'm then going to take my brown marker, the lightest brown one that I've got, and we're going to start to colour in the centres of the sunflowers. So I'm literally just scribbling over, and then when I get up to the edges I go a little bit slower and I just kind of wiggle my pen. That's the only way I can describe it, like a little wiggle all the way around. Like so, and then you can see how that then looks. Okay, so we just continue to work all the way around. Like so. Adding in that lovely brown shade to the centre of the sunflowers. And again, because you've kind of got your embossed line there, what I tend to find is when you colour over the top, you kind of get like little extra pools of colour, so it kind of gives a little bit of shading anyway, which I think is really, really nice. So, and then what I also did is took my slightly darker brown and I just went back in and I kind of scribbled in the centres and just did a little bit of a wiggle. It's the only way I can describe it, around the edge. Okay, and that just adds that extra little bit of shade to the centres of the sunflowers. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to bring in my guillotine. I'm going to trim this square down to 7 1/4 inches square. So I'm going to work out how I want to do this. I'm going to take a little bit off here to start with. Take a little bit off the opposite side, bring that down to 7 1/4. Get rid of that. And then we want to do exactly the same on the other side here. So I want to try and keep a couple of whole sunflowers. So I'm going to cut it there, flip it round. And then just trim it down again. Take a fraction off there and then take a little bit more off of here. There we go. That'll work really nicely. Okay, so then if I flip that round, you can see how pretty that then looks and how we've got this lovely little kind of square with those beautiful sunflowers on. So what I'm going to do next is take my Art Glitter Dries Clear PVA glue. And I'm literally just going to scribble onto the petals. Can you see that there? How I've just scribbled the glue. So what we're going to do is literally just work round, scribbling this glue onto the petals. I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper. I've been using envelopes because my cards are quite 3D. I always seem to end up with a massive envelope, so I've started using those as my scrap paper. And then I'm going to take one of our beautiful Sparkelicious glitters. This one is rainbow yellow. It's really super sparkly. It's got different shades in there. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I've just sprinkled that over the sunflower and you can see the effect that that then gives. Just hold that up. You can see all of the bling and sparkle. But when that glue dries clear, you're going to get some of the darker colours shining through as well. So I'm going to continue on and just do exactly the same on all of the other petals. And because our glitters are quite chunky, they are so forgiving for doing techniques like this. On that one. Then I'm going to continue on. I'm going to do exactly the same on these ones. Then we'll sprinkle that over, tap away the excess. So we're just working around, scribbling that PVA glue onto the petals and then sprinkling with the glitter. Okay, so you can see how blinged up and pretty that now looks. Okay, so if I hold that up for you, you can see the sparkle that we've got on there. Now what I've then liked to do is take our gorgeous Lumiere glitter, and this one's in Copper Medley, so it's a nice brown copper colour, but it colour shifts, so you get lots of different shades coming through with this one. So what I'm going to do is on these two partial sunflowers, so my one in my bottom right and my top left corner, I'm going to just put some little dots of PVA glue. And I'm going to sprinkle this over. So when I sprinkle this over, I mean, like, wow. You can see the bling that that has then added. So I'm going to do exactly the same on this one here. And then I'm going to sprinkle over my glitter. and you can see the effect that that's now added. Now with these two, we're going to do an extra layer which we're going to die cut and pop on the top. So I will show you how to do that. I'll do one to show you because I've got some that I've already prepped, but you will need to do 2 of these. So what you are going to do is, firstly you're going to just move that off your desk for now. You're going to take a piece of white card, so just the exact same card that you've used to stamp your background on as well, because what you can find is if you start using different white cards, some of them are different shades. So I'm using the Craft UK Super Smooth White card, and then I'm going to take my stamp again. I'm going to ink it up using my black VersaFine ink pad. What I will do as well is I will link all of the products that I'm using in the comments below, so you'll be able to see exactly what I'm using and where you can get it from. So lift that away. I'm going to lift off. I always end up with glitter literally like everywhere, so I have a little bit of glitter on the stamp pad. I've just picked that off. So we're going to ink our stamp. Now what you'll notice with our stamps is the flowers have got an extra little notch of polymer, so I always put that to the top of my acrylic block. And the reason why I do that is because that little notch matches up with the notch in your die. So we stamp that down again like so. We're going to lift that off, and we're going to take our scrap paper again. We're going to cover that with Clear Gloss Superfine Embossing Powder, and then we're going to heat this up. So again, to heat this up, all I'm doing is holding my heat gun still and just moving it over the image like so. Just going to give that a little second to cool, and then I'm going to take my die. So you can see on the die that you've got a tiny little notch out of the top there. So that lines up with the petal that has the extra notch of polymer on. So what we're then going to do is we're going to place that down onto our card, tape that in place and run it through our die cutting machine. So I'm using my Gemini machine. So I'm using my base plate, my plastic shim, and then my cutting plate on the top. I'm going to then run that through our die cutting machine. I've just got my die cutting machine set up next to me here. And then I'm going to grab that out of the other side. And that's all die cut, and we've got a beautifully die cut sunflower. So what I've then done is I've gone in and glittered these and coloured them in exactly the same way. So I've done 2 of those. So I've got my 2 beautiful sunflowers. So I think what we'll start and do now is we'll start to assemble our card. So I've got an 8x8 card blank. I've then taken a beautiful piece of patterned paper, and this is from our Geometric Rainbow foiled paper pad, which is stunning. You've got so many different designs in here, all foiled in different designs, foiled in gold, different in silver as well. They are absolutely stunning, so you're going to be able to use something for all of your different projects. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of that and I've trimmed it down to 7 3/4 inches square. I'm going to grab in my Crystallina glitter. As some of you will know, I am obsessed with this, and I'm going to use my chisel tip glue pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a brush to start with, just to get rid of some of that excess glitter. Okay, I'm going to take my chisel tip glue pen, I'm going to hold it at a slight angle and drag it along the edge of the card like so. So we're just going to work our way around this beautiful foiled paper. adding in this gorgeous glittery border. Okay, and then we're going to affix this onto our base card. So to do that, I'm going to use a little bit of Colour all-purpose glue. Just on the back like so. And then we're going to place that down onto our card blank and just stick that in place. Okay. I've then taken a piece of white card and I've cut that down to 7.5 inches square. And I'm going to stick this one onto my base card using some foam pads. Now, of course, as always, I am using our fabulous foam pads on a roll, which I absolutely love. They are brilliant for all of your matting and layering. They're a nice big size and they also come with like easy lift backs on them. So you can literally just whip the backs off. I mean, look at that. It's so easy the way that you can just work around. Okay, so that's going to get stuck onto our base card like so. And then I've got one that I've already done at home that's completely dry. So you can see how when that glitter dries, you start to get the orange tone shining through from underneath. So what I like to do is just give this a good dust with a brush. So I'm just using my brush and I'm just dusting it over my bin to get rid of any excess glitter that may be on there. And then we're going to edge this piece as well. So again, taking your chisel tip glue pen, going to drag it along the side and dunk it into the glitter. So, and that just gives that a nice little glittery border. We're going to stick that down onto our base card, and I'm probably just going to stick this down flat because all I've got is a very fine white border running around the edge. So again, using my Colour all-purpose glue. But actually, before I do stick that down, I've just thought I've missed a little step there. So what I want to do is wrap a piece of vellum around my card so that my greeting can go on. So I've torn a little strip here. I was getting all carried away there, you see. I've already torn a little strip and I'm going to just wrap this around my card. I'm going to make this look really difficult now, but honestly it's not. It's because I put the glue on the back of this piece. But what we're going to do is just wrap that little strip of vellum all the way around like so. Just needs to relax a little bit. A little bit tight. I'll just see if I can merrily craft away in my craft room all day. Then when I pop the camera on, always make a mistake. Okay, a little bit more glue just onto there. And then we're going to stick that down flat onto our base card. So you can see how at the moment that vellum looks like it's standing out a bit, but we're not stressing about it. It's all good. So what we're then going to do is take our 2 sunflowers that we've stamped and die cut, and we're going to layer these up on top. So what I like to do first before I layer them up is just give them a little bit of shape by just curling them between my finger and thumb. Okay, I'm going to like lift every other petal as well. I quite like that look at the moment. I think it's quite nice just to add that extra dimension. So that's then going to get stuck down onto our base card. So to stick that down, I'm going to take a foam pad. I'm going to offset it slightly just by giving it a little twist and then stick that one down. We're going to do exactly the same with this one at the bottom. So just giving those petals a little bit of shape between my finger and thumb. And then we're just going to work round. Like so. Okay, and then you can see how that's then built that dimension up on the project. I've then taken 2 little flower centres and I've just cut those out, and we're going to stick those in the middle. Again, I'm just going to give them a little bit of shape just by bending them around my finger a little bit, just to give that extra little bit of dimension. Another foam pad in the middle of each of those. And then we're just going to pop that down. That one down, like so. And you can see how that's then looking. What I've then done is I've taken my Best Wishes die. So this comes in 3 pieces and it does come with a stamp. So I've die cut out the background, and then I've die cut out the very fine Best Wishes. And we're going to layer those up. So I've done one on white and one on the black card. So I'm going to first off start by sticking these together. So to do that, I'm going to take a tiny little bit of PVA just on the back, and again this is dries clear PVA, so should be all good. So we're going to stick that down. Into my base like that. Oops, making a right pig's ear of that, I keep knocking it, there we go. Right, and then we're going to pop that down onto our base card. So to do that, I'm going to take some foam pads again. And we're just going to take the foam pads and start to pop these onto here. Like so, and then that's going to get stuck down onto my base card. So you can see how beautiful that is then looking. And then what I'm going to do is, just for any kind of little inky finger marks or anything that I've got on this card, I'm going to take some tiny little silver jewels and I'm just going to stick those down. So I'm going to just dot them about just a little bit. Then anywhere that you've got little inky finger marks, this is where you can start to hide them. So by taking these tiny little jewels, sticking them down into place, we've got some other fabulous things coming soon, well, in the next few months, that are going to be awesome for completing your backgrounds and things as well. There we go. So we can just work around adding these in. Just give it a little blow, that'll get the glitter off, and that right there would be your finished card. So I really hope that you have enjoyed making this project with me today. You can shop all of the products that I've used online at www.chloescreativecards.co.uk. If you haven't done so already, please do have a little look at our YouTube channel and subscribe. We've got lots and lots of amazing ideas on there. And of course, on the blog, on the website too, we've got some fabulous ideas. So please do subscribe, give us a follow and a like on Facebook too, and I will see you again soon.